Last time we talked about the RTC, and today I want to continue on the same topic with examples about the RTC triggers. Basically, how to generate the triggers from the RTC. We usually use the RTC triggers to help us in data contextualization, and I want to discuss with you some examples from what I see in the field. Surprisingly, we have something very exceptional in this region, something called no password policy in the last 15 years, which is still available in some tenders today. Basically, the clients are asking for no password in everything, which is exactly the opposite of zero trust cybersecurity approach or strategy. Deny by default, everything is closed, everything need authentication, authorization, or even continuous validation. If you are not familiar with the RTC triggers, we simply use the RTC to send triggers every day, week, month, or even a year, which will help us in data contextualization, or what I mean, putting data in a proper context. If you think about any instruments in the field, it is there for a certain reason, not just for displaying its current value on HMIs and SCADA. And this is definitely one of the main issues or concern we see in the water treatment field. We have plenty of data, however, we lack the contextualized data. And as advice, focusing on contextualized data would definitely make your application very different from others. Today, we'll take an example of one-day triggers, which is a very common practice to send your flow totalizers, number of start, number of faults, asset utilization, which will definitely help you in the next level for performing statistical analysis or even OEE calculations.
Today I'm using the S7-1200 and the TIA portal, and the same concept will be applied to any other PLC or software. And the only difference is how to read the real-time clock. Some PLCs will give you the access to read and write through the RTC blocks, and other through system memory words.
So let us move to this example. So as we mentioned, we need some daily triggers so we can save our calculations into another space, either like structures, arrays of days, or any other variables. So our first example here, our friend is just simply using on delay timer and negating the output back again on the input, which is a very classic way to keep the timer running forever and generating pulse once it is finishing the counting. And you'll find it in several applications for the second clock. And here, basically, our friend, he has no idea that we have RTC, or he never think about using this one in these triggers. And there are like two issues with this approach. The first one is we don't know exactly when this trigger is happening, which would definitely impact your data visualization. The second issue of this approach, if the PLC is off for any reason, then this timer will reset and start counting again. And in this region, we have several plants running on generators. Then you should be expecting on and off several times on a daily basis. And in this case, this timer will keep resetting and counting back again, which is completely inconsistent. And this would impact your data visualization very badly. The second variation of this one I have seen in other sites that using a retentive timer. And again, here we run in another issue that the timer will count 24-hour operation rather than 24-hour clock. The second approach, which is the very common solution, and even the solution I was doing like 10 years ago, reading the local time. As you know, the Siemens here, we have a local time and system time. So reading the local time and comparing with the zero clock. So whenever we have the hour is 0, the minute 0, second 0, then we have the trigger. So we can move all the cycle of calculations to the other variables. And maybe later, once we discuss the totalizers, and we'll go in further details on this subject. I want to test this trigger, and just to make it very much easier for the testing, I created reset. As you see here, I have a reset, and this reset basically is writing to the local time 10 seconds before the 0 clock. As you see here, it is 11:59:50 p.m., which is like 10 seconds before the 0 clock. And back again, I am releasing the reset because I just need the reset for only one cycle. So I don't have to keep toggling on and off for the reset. So let us try the reset. Double click and you see we have 10 seconds before the 0 clock. I will go up again and you should have a trigger here. And now as you see, we have the trigger. And normally we just add one pulse here in the output because we need one cycle rather than 1 full second of duration for this trigger. The only issue with this approach is, as we mentioned earlier, if you're running on generator or you missed the 0 clock, then we will keep doing the calculations waiting for the 0 clock. And this is happening in several sites. I see all the calculations are zeros because normally the plant is running in generator and it is off at night. So the PLC will never see this 0 clock. A small improvement in this approach or the one I'm normally using is rather than using the 0 clock, we'll use the calendar day. So basically, I'm just comparing the calendar day with saved value of the day. And as you see here, this is, I'm just every cycle, I'm just moving the current or the calendar day to temp day. So if there is a change on the day, it will trigger for only one cycle because again, the day will be assigned back again to the temp day. And one thing here to consider that this variable shall be on retain, because if the PLC is off and back again on, we need to keep the last calendar day rather than moving back again to the start value. So let us test this approach, and I just add a set here because the trigger will be for only one cycle. So as you see here, there is a set, simple set instruction, and I will trigger my reset. As you see here, I released the reset, and now we are waiting for the 10 seconds. As you see, we already have the trigger. And this is a very simple way to manage the triggers, and it will apply if you need a trigger in daily or weekly or even monthly. And please let me know in the comment section below if we should spend some time the basics or we have to skip wasting time on this area. Thanks for your time and wish you a good evening.